Angel and others. Yeah, fuck, DRI, no. Yeah, DRI, right on, yeah. Anyway, our first show we did was a really cool tribute to Cliff. We used an intro to our show. And I was thrilled to be invited to the Cliff Burton Museum for a gallery photo show that I did. I think it's amazing that there's a fucking Cliff Burton Museum anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking amazing. So along with a group of people, they started the museum to honor Cliff's legacy and keep his memory alive. The night before the photo show, I received the horrible news that my best friend and roommate, Mike Wasco, had died of a heart attack. I almost canceled the photo gallery show. Dude, you're killing my vibe here, dude. Are we passing out pics or are we fucking talking about Cliff? Yeah, cool. All right on. Anyway, so my best friend fucking died, and I was all sad and shit. I wanted to go home, but I decided to do the show because that's what Wasco would have wanted for me to do, you know? It's like Cliff. Yeah, Wasco, for Wasco. Yeah. So I wasn't sure if I could handle the recent loss of my best friend, combined with the heaviness of going to the place where we lost Cliff. I thought it was going to be an emotional wreck. I didn't think I could do it. The folks at the museum sent a guy to pick me up at the airport, and it was pouring down rain and totally dismal. We drove a couple hours and we got near the destination when my drummer told me we were now on the same road where the Metallica tour bus had skidded off. This is the same road where Cliff lost his life, and it was fucking heavy. It was one of the fucking heaviest moments of my life. I started crying like a baby, and it was a lot to take in my already fragile emotional state. This is the same drive where Cliff died. I can barely describe the sadness I felt. It was fucking horrible. It was like going to Auschwitz. You could feel the heaviness in the air. Then we stopped at the actual crash site, and I went over to the stone, and I just lost it completely, man. The vibe was so fucking heavy. There wasn't anybody else there, so my driver sat in the car as I got to finally pay my respects to Cliff. It was one of the absolutely heaviest, saddest, most cathartic moments of my life. When we originally lost Cliff, we were all so young and had never really dealt with death before. And just like Metallica guys, we were really unprepared to deal with it and how to handle the grief of losing such an amazing, unique individual like Cliff. We're gonna have someone to clean this up afterwards, right? Heavy. Yeah. Heavy. All right. Anyway, so Cliff was only 24 years old when he died. And I think of all that time, especially now when I'm an old man of 62. I think of my life I've had and how long I've been around for. And the saddest thing about Cliff's death was the fact that he was in the prime of his life. Metallica were just crushing it on a huge upward trajectory. I was a total wreck, and it's hard to talk about it today. I walked over to the memorial, and I was blown away by all the little trinkets and keepsakes so many people had left behind. Guitar picks, beer and liquor labels, flowers, pictures of Cliff, roaches, bottle caps. I left an unused drink ticket from the Warfield in SF. I smoked a fat joint and left the roach for Cliff.
Yeah! Yeah!
Yes. Yeah. As we drove to the museum from the crash site, I felt a huge sense of relief and happiness. I finally got some closure that I had always needed so bad after Cliff's passing 38 years ago. Like I said, this is one of the heaviest days of my life, and I felt so much better, like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Visiting the crash site was a major epiphany and helped me deal with losing a couple of great friends. I got to the museum and was greeted by the curators who gave me a huge warm welcome and big hugs. It was totally surreal to finally be in the Cliff Burton Museum in fucking Sweden. They opened up the museum for me, and I was blown away by how much care and love they had put into it. I was honored and thrilled to see 10 of my Cliff photos blown up on the wall. Previously, Casey had arranged to have myself, Brian Liu, Rick Brackett, and Gene Ambo donate 10 of our best Cliff photos to the museum. They also had a duplicate memorial stone, which they had covered with plexiglass in the floor of the museum. It was so fucking cool. They had taken all of the trinkets and pics and all the cool stuff people had left and arranged at the crash site all over the display. There were big photo displays from Kerrang, Metal Hammer, and all the metal magazines that had tributes to Cliff. We set up my photos on a wire that went across the room. Oh yeah. So I decided they needed to keep all the photos I'd brought for future displays. They were so nice and hospitable and put me up in the adjacent hotel and insisted on paying for all my meals and boarding while I was there. The next day, I met all the nice folks who had put it all together. I guess part of the reason they opened this museum, and they put in the memorial stone out by the crash site, because people would always come up to the nearby merchants and ask where the crash had actually happened. The photo gallery show with Cliff was a complete success, and about 75 people showed up, and a bunch of people brought their books for me to sign. I'm so happy I decided to do the show after all, and I had a great time meeting so many hella cool Swedish Metallica fans. Give it up for Cliff Burton, come on!
Yeah! Cliff Burton!
Fuck yeah. I recommend the Cliff Museum to anybody that even has a slight interest in music. Cliff loved his hometown of Castro Valley, and he was extremely proud of where he came from. We need to do a permanent memorial for Cliff here in Castro Valley.
Yeah! Yeah!
So I propose getting a duplicate memorial stone like the one they have in Sweden. And I've contacted people in Sweden about this. We're going to try to do a Cliff memorial for Castro Valley. That's what it fucking needs, right?
Fuck yeah!
Fuck yeah! So, anyway, thanks to all of you for keeping Cliff's spirit and legacy alive. For Cliff!
Yeah! Cliff Burton!
If you're 21 and over, you take a stroll down to the Valley Inn down here. We're going to have a big jam session afterwards. I'm going to smoke a big fat joint with all of you. Yeah. Thanks so much for your support, for keeping Cliff's memory alive, and for future generations to enjoy. All right, we're getting down here now. All right, in closing, I'd like to tell a little story about Cliff. It's pretty fucking hilarious. Flashback to 1984, Metallica are playing a secret gig at the Buhay Gardens under the name of the Four Horsemen, home of countless punk shows and mayhem. The gig ended up being announced in BAM magazine, and hundreds of people were turned away. They didn't have that many fans then, so what the fuck am I talking about? The band had to have their roadies build a wall of people to hold the mad crowd off the 2-foot-high stage. The show was a total madhouse. To quote Cliff himself, freaks were fucking flipping. Big time. So during one of the breaks, James had the crowd in a round of metal up your ass.
Metal up your ass!
Metal up your ass!
Metal up your ass!
It was just like that. He would shout it to the crowd, and the crowd would shout it back, just like we did a second ago. Oh my God. Yeah. Then he had him shouting, hell no, James. Hell no, James. That girl still didn't say hell no, James. Okay. So Cliff saw this as a perfect opportunity to mess with Mr. Hetfield. So he goes up to the mic and says, James is a dick. James is a dick. And you should have seen the fucking look on James's face when he fucking said that. It's like, what the fuck? So what did Cliff do? Or what did James do? James looked at Cliff and went, Cliff is a cunt. We can't say that. Okay, like, Cliff is a C with a T at the end and a U and an N in the middle. Thank you. So the audience shouted back, Cliff is a cunt. We're gonna edit this for Netflix, right? Okay. Anyway, but it was a total spur of the moment, and a great example of Cliff's great sense of humor. So thanks to all put on this great show tonight. Here's to many more, and we got coming up to True Temper, right? True Temper, yeah. Give it up. So this is one of Cliff's very first bands, correct? This is before Agents of Misfortune? Before, what was the other one? Yeah, anyway. But anyway. So hang out, this is gonna be a fun night. Give it up for Cliff, come on!
Yeah!
James is a dick! Cliff is a... Anyway, I'm making a huge mess here. Thanks, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. My name's Harold O, and I'm an alcoholic. Fuck yeah.
Yeah! Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah!